Well, hello there. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing today? Can everyone hear me? Yes, everyone can hear me. Perfect. So today's stream is going to be a little bit of different one from what we've been doing lately. Today is just going to be a mess around stream. I can't swear because YouTube and stuff. Why can't you see my head? Much better. Way better when you can actually see my head and not just crop the top of it off. Hey, Scale, how you doing, bud? Right. First things first. Cup of tea. Right. Because if you can't tell yet, I'm feeling very rather British today, even though I'm not British. Right. What have you been up to today, Xscale? Not a very good teapot. Having a beer on your end. Ooh. Vous avez une bière? Perfect. What kind of beer is it? That's the real question. Perfect. I swear there were more people who were waiting for the stream. Bière bretonne en plus. Okay. What kind of British beer is it then? Don't tell me it's like a fucking Stella or something, because that's meant to be Italian, but it's not. What wife beaters drink, at least in the UK. Perfect. So, considering you're the only one right here, I'll explain the plan for the stream then. And that is, there is no plan. It's just a basic little fuck around. Um, Hello, Dave. Emptying my shopping. I am here. Perfect. Yes, it is just a basic little fuck around. Um, I've got a few bits and pieces that I want to get going for a D&D game that I host every Friday. Um, and I always tend to pick new parts for it, hence all the little paraphernalia and dragons over here. Perfect. I also have my V0.1, but it's been made to look up like a V0, V02 a little bit, and it has stopped working. So uh, there are a lot of builds. Sorry, there's a lot of things that I didn't like when I was doing this build that I didn't do properly. So it might be a case of the same thing I did with Milo and just take it apart and rebuild it. So yeah, that could be a thing for the day. It just depends. First things first, I gotta clear my bench, desk, desk bench, whatever it is, whatever it is. RF blonde. Ugh. I'm not really a beer fan. I say this, but the last two streams I've had a beer in my hand. I'm not really a beer fan most of the time. Um, I grew up in, well, I learned to drink in South Africa. They didn't drink beer, but most of the time, some kind of spirit mixed, mostly brandy. I do like brandy more than beer, which is weird for a lot of people. Perfect. Right. So my V0.1 was working. It actually did it produced the best prints I had on any printer I've ever owned, but um, it's just stopped working. It's been so intermittent, put it like that. Um, yeah. Ooh, let's put some music on. Get the music going. Perfect. Yeah. So it works, then it doesn't work, then it works, then it doesn't work. It's been a roller coaster ride with my little V0. Why isn't that going down? Feeding easily. There we go. Dave, did you have this many problems with yours? Or is it just me? If Dave can actually hear me instead of just doing his shopping, he might just be. Perfect. Right, before I get too far into that, oh, I'm all over the place today. This is what happens when you don't stream with a plan. Dehoming issues. Yeah. So what I have a what's it called? Not a tap. Not a pit stop. What's it called? Where you have a docked end stop that you can pick up with magnets and press down on the bed. I forgot what it's called. Quick draw. I think it's quick draw. No, quick draw is a mod for a switch wire. Forget what it's called. Yeah, well, whatever it is, I have the parts for that for my Trident, but the problem with my Trident is it's too good and doesn't need it. So I might recycle those parts off of the out of the LDO kit and stick it on this one. By the way, this is a form-bot kit for the LDO. Sorry, this is a form-bot kit for the V0, and I wouldn't recommend it. No, I had a hell of a time with half the components on it. It was one of the things that at the time I thought, oh, it'll be fine. But no. Get yourself a properly decent kit from LDO, or I think Physik does a pretty decent kit as well. Don't go with the Formbot kit. They're not the best. Clicky, that was it. I'm moving to the V0.2 end stop positioning, hoping that sorts things out. Yeah. Hello, Chris. I've not seen you before. You new to the stream? Perfect. Let's get the Trident going first, shall we? I need some more dungeon sticks first. Think of it. Or do I go with a dragon of some kind? Because I do have a dragon coming up in my game. What do people want to see? Do people want to see... It's a printing stream today. Do people want to see kind of walls and buildings and bits like that? Or do you want to see some kind of dragon? I think I'm leaning towards dragon today. Just joined Discord a few weeks ago, researching to build me one of these fancy CNCs. Well, unfortunately, you've chosen the stream that doesn't have anything to do with the CNC. So at the moment, I'm just waiting for some parts to come in for the CNC. Some parts that were meant to be delivered to me got accidentally delivered to DFH because he was making some parts for me. But I can run you through what the plans for my build are if you want to hear them, or you can watch the other ones. Got one vote for Dragon from Dave. Seven. That's a resin print. M Coil. You're new as well, aren't you? Nice to see you, dude. Welcome along. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Hope you're having a great evening. How's my audio as well, by the way, guys? Decent? Horrible? Is the music just kind of making it better than it should be? Audio is salvageable. Okay. I genuinely can't think of. I've tried so hard to make it to tune it, but I'm so tone deaf that I don't know what's good and bad. I'll be mounting a shortly. Unfortunately, prior engagement. But if you could link or pin something somewhere in the Discord or playlist for previous videos, that'd be awesome. Yeah, sure. There's two well, there's one live stream because the first one got taken down for a copyright strike, which is fine. So I'll get you a link to the old live stream, and I'll also find all the other videos. So there'll be Aramco's videos to watch. There'll be all of Dave's streams. Dave streamed a lot more for the actual project than I have. I've just been breaking mine down, getting ready to rebuild it. Audio is fine. Perfect. Let's get you to play capture. Window capture. Perfect. Let's resize that so you can actually see what I'm doing. All right, awesome. So, Dragon Skull. What does everyone think? Dragon Skull or full dragon? I'm going for Dragon Skull. Just because you'll be able to see it more on stream. No other reason than that. I could work it in somewhere in the game. Audio sounds compressed, but I think it's a trade-off with the echo. Give me 1 second. So I've got the door open today because apparently it makes it a little bit better. I've tried. So this whole wall, or this wall behind me, you can see I've started putting up some sound treatment. This is the pretty side. On this side over here is completely plastered. You can't see it obviously. It's completely plastered with sound panels. It's just a full wall, and that's just to help with the echo. I'm going to close the door and see if that helps. Is that any better, or is that even more echoey than it was before? Dragon Skull. Xscale, I love you and I hate you at the same time. I've just seen that photo in the in the Discord. That's great. I look so much like my dad in that photo. I hate it. Right. Download all files. Yes, I'm using Thingiverse because believe it or not, Thingiverse still has more models on it than Principles. I would rather use Principles where I can, but I can't use it in this case, I'm afraid. If you're looking for D&D stuff, if you ever get into D&D, Thingiverse is still better than Principles for the most part in terms of actual content that's on there. Principles is still a far better website in general, though. Audio, really not sure if it's better. I'll see what I can do. Again, it's just one of those things that I don't have a very good ear for this kind of thing. As a software engineer, Thingiverse is so unacceptably broken for how popular it is. Agreed. I genuinely, don't worry, I completely understand where you're coming from, dude. The only thing is, like, it's still where everyone went originally, and Principles has only been out for maybe 2 years now, I think, something like that, properly at least. So it's just not filled up as much, and I don't like things. I don't like things whatsoever. It just I don't get it. It's hard for me to navigate things. Bill, nice to see you, dude. How's your day been? Right. Bill, I managed to print PLA today. I know that doesn't sound like an achievement, but I have never got my Trident to print PLA. It's a known issue with the Rapidos. They just cause so many clogs with it. You have to crank down the temperature, so I think I'm printing at like 170 something. I think 175 to actually get it to work. It's been stressful, has it, Phil? How come? I think big dragon still today. Maybe not that big. 70? That bit? No. Maybe 165? That'll fit. Huh. What do you mean by huh? For the dragon knife flow, I need to open the enclosure as much as I can in order to manage the heat creep. Yeah, I have the same issue, man. So we'll be printing with these doors open later. They're just closed because it's a bit easier and they don't get in the way. But yeah, I can't print with this thing the way it is. I'm glad I'm not the only one that I'm not the only one that has had issues with PLA on and 4 on. I have to open my enclosure to use a lot of fan. Yeah, I completely agree. It's a weird one because from my very well-trained senses of my hands, well-trained, I feel like my V0 actually outputs more flow from the fan on the hot end, even though it's a smaller fan than my Boron Trident does. But that also might just be because the Trident is recycling hot air and much more. So I can't. So if I print and anything more than like 170, 180, it clogs immediately, even with the doors open. I have to print at 170, otherwise it just creeps. Let's get some conical supports in here. Like that. On my rat rig, I have to open the doors and open the top hat. How do you find your rat rig? Oh man, I hate. So, I can't imagine what it's like for you because I haven't done a master's. Obviously, I've just done a bachelor's, but I hated it. I hated doing my dissertation, and just work in general. Having to constantly. I get that attributions have to be a thing, but why do they have to be so complicated? Like we can get around, like the Voron community can get around, the open source community in general can get around attribution really easily, and no one bats an eye at it. If you mislabel a single thing on an academic paper, you can lose your degree, and I hate that fact. Fair enough. Fair enough, Bill. That was a stupid one for me. 350 grams. Do I need infill in this one? Do like 10% infill. Serious? Still really impressed with it. Rat rig, you mean? They look like good little printers. Again, I've never used one, so I can't comment on it. But they look decent. Updates on the LDO kits, guys. Jason and I were just talking the other day. They're about 2 weeks away from doing from getting their internal testing started. And once they get all that done, they'll be sending kits out to the team to test, hopefully. And once that's all done, we can't. I don't think we'll be able to actually broadcast it, but we'll get the testing done, fix any bugs we need to fix, and then after that, we should potentially be getting some more Milo stuff out to you guys. A full kit for one. That would be good. Right. Let's get this going. You're gonna notice that my Trident is really loud. I don't know why. Every time I start, I'm not really doing well today. I can't remember a thing. What's it called? Stealth chop. Every time I use stealth chop on this machine, it squeals like a pig. So my machine is a lot louder than you might think. And on the other side of this wall here is my bedroom. So, and it's bolted to the wall. Every time this thing moves, I can hear it in there. Well, that's a price I need to pay. I've slept with like a fan on my whole life, so I'm not too annoyed by the noise. Perfect. What's your master's thesis on? If I'm allowed to ask, that is. Whew. Man, I'm sore. It's my first day off since I had a long time off. So I had like a week off, and I had a bunch of other stuff to do, and I had a few issues come up. That's why I didn't stream the other day. Sorry to everyone who was trying to go to that stream. I had some issues that came up with a friend of mine and her partner, so I had to deal with those and help out where I could. Unfortunately, shit like that does happen. Let's give you guys a close-up. Development, application, and testing of ceramic paint additive that is meant to increase mechanical durability. Ooh, very nice. So you're working at the moment. You're on the dev team, and you're studying for a master's thesis. You have way too much on your plate. I can barely deal with just having a job and having this as a hobby. Is Simon in the chat today by any chance? I want to know if he got his parts. They got delivered to him. I'll ask him on the Discord. Okay, that seems pretty good. Yeah, I wish I had I could work 10 hours a week. Unfortunately, I have to work for a living. But then, so does everyone else, so I shouldn't really complain. Yeah, I hear you, dude. I hear you. Everyone has those days where it just becomes a bit too much. I need to microstep this, I know that. we go. Big dragon skull. Big dragon skull. Hopefully that stays down. Hello, Ten. We are printing a dragon skull at the moment. It should be in the top right corner in Kira. Because yes, I still use Kira. Oh, thank you. It is a nice stealth burner. So the orange ABS that I had in here was Millenium ABS, I think. And I bought that roll by accident 3 years ago, something like that. It's the best filament I've ever printed with. It's the cleanest I've ever printed with. No, blue dragon. Maybe I can sneak in a video this week. That would be awesome, dude. Your videos are so good. I love watching them. Oh no! Right. First print fail. Put it in the book. Right. I'm gonna have issues with the supports if I don't use ABS, aren't I? Does anyone else have a problem with PLA on flat PEI sheets? It just seems to not want to stick as well as ABS. I recently installed TAP on my Voron 2.4 and I'm loving it. Ooh. Yes, it is from D&D. Well, no, it's for a D&D game, but it's not from D&D. It's just something cool. I might actually just hang it up in here. Video with projectile action. Yeah, probably knowing Phil. I understand the benefit of CAN bus, but at the same time, the added complexity of the whole thing is just goes over my head. I don't think it's worth it half the time, especially because there's some mods in the Voron community and just things in general which make building it easier, but then no further than that. and I feel like CAN bus is one of those things. It doesn't really help too much. It helps a lot with the installation of Clipper, things like that. I have way too much shit at the bottom of the printer. You know what? I'm going to prep this for ABS. I'm going to move over to ABS instead. I have far too much blue in the studio. I have a roll of red ABS that needs to be used. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle all the boxes. Hopefully that's enough. I'm tuning it to a 3 mainboard. I'm running RRF, so setup for the CAN bus should be fairly straightforward in the firmware. Yeah, if it is straightforward, then it sounds good to me. If it's not, and it starts to cause issues, then that's when a mod is just not useful. I'll use this roll. I have too many half-used rolls of ABS. Too many. I also need to make Hearts of Iron. Yes. Because I need someone to test that so I can actually release it. I think it'll be fine in its current state. Just received my Saunders advice today. Is that like the one? Is it the mod vice, like the one Phil tried to recreate? Oh no, I say tried to recreate. You did recreate it. It's just the extrusions that are letting you down. Did you get any of the accessories with the mod vice? Like, did you get the the mod vice uses Mighty Bites, doesn't it? To actually hold parts in. If I remember correctly, at least. Right. I have a roll of nylon, which I've never printed with before. This is one of the last batches that Rigid Ink ever made of their nylon, and before they stopped making filament. It's been drying in a Sunlu dryer for 3 days now. Not at the recommended temperature, because these only go up to 55 degrees, but for a very long time. And there isn't any more water coming out of it. I think that might be enough. That might be fine. So it's either red ABS or try with some nylon. Don't really use nylon for anything. Too bendy for most things. For a dragon skull, might be cool to have. Annoying that it doesn't match their step files though. How does the mod vice step? Is it not the same as what they have released to the public? You know what? Fuck it. We'll do a smaller dragon skull in nylon. Opa. This spool is very tangled. Apparently. I'm not surprised this is so tangled, to be honest. This has been passed from. This spool has been passed from pillar to post for the last, like, 3 years. Wow. This is a tangle. Right, ABS it is. I'll deal with that another time. ABS. We'll go with ABS. Oh, fuck. Oh. So, Tin, what have you been up to today, dude? The manual for CAS is looking good, by the way. Really do enjoy that. Seeing that come together. Also from Saunders, I got a few Mighty Bite Talon grips, a pair of reversible drawer inserts, 2 sets of aluminium stuffed drawers, and some M6 fixturing pins. You really like the idea of these pins, don't you? We are renovating the back room to turn it into an office so that it's distracting me from more important Milo activities. Nah, man. What's important is that you do what makes you do the things that you need to do in your life. Milo can always wait. Milo can definitely always wait. Unfortunately. I need to figure out two-sided aligned machining. It's fairly simple, right? Machine one side, flip the part over, re-zero off of the machine surfaces, and in Fusion you can pick where you want to start it from, and then you're fine. Right? And they should line up. think it's simpler than you think. You're just letting it get into your own head. How long have we been streaming for? Nearly an hour, and I haven't got a print started. Oh, this is how muddled my brain has been today. What you could do is if you create a fixture, so if you indent the part into your fixture, so get a bit of HDP or something, mill a pocket out of that fits your cylinder inside of it, right? And then use the work coordinate system that you used for the fixture itself as the work coordinate system for your part as well. And that way they should line up. At least that's my suggestion. My suggestion might be wrong, or might not be the most adequate way of doing it. So wherever you want work 000 to be, so if you had a flat piece of wood or HDP or whatever, find the rough center of it, place that as your work coordinate system, mill into the board, and then use that same work coordinate system on your part. So say in CAD you had your fixture and your parts nestled onto the same CAD model itself, you'd be using the same coordinate system. So your CNC should know, as long as you don't lose that position, so if the power goes off, whatever, you should be fine. You should be fine to do that. Hopefully this is a little bit better than the last attempt. The shafts are on the print the Voron did. So this is meant to be a dice tray / dice tower. I actually think this is the first PLA print that ever succeeded on the Trident. I think it's actually pretty damn good. There's a bit of ghosting there. Sorry, ringing. That's fine. The bottom side, however, not so great. I don't know why, but PLA just doesn't want to adhere to this bed very well. And second round of tea. Because it's always a great idea to have tea at 10:30 at night just before you're about to go to bed. Anyone heard from Ray recently? He seems to have disappeared off the face of the Discord ever since his build got done. Hope he's alright. Bent my stylus pin though. The alley tool setters use a contact point stylus from a depth gauge, which you'd think would be pretty common but very hard to find. What does mine look like? Not sure. What is this? The one that you're? Is this a similar one? Focus, come on. Yeah. Is that the kind of touch probe that you have? So if that's the case, then I think they're just called M3 styluses. I think it's an M3. Not too sure though. Because I do remember seeing, I think Dave said this as well. The styluses that came with ours, you can actually buy from the seller. I'm pretty sure you can at least. Right. Payday soon. I definitely need to get a printer webcam. But I also need to buy enclosure parts. Choices. Too many choices. M2.5. Yeah. That sounds about right. Or you have a lathe, don't you, Tin? Just milled a small pocket out of aluminium on my Milo. Wow, this thing is way more capable than I thought it would be. Oh, glad to hear it, dude. What kind of machine are you running? Are you running a fully stock build? Or have you got FMJs and things like that? And also, have you got your machine serialed yet? Well, you know what I always say, Tin? If anything looks impossible, it's possible so long as you can engineer the shit out of it. And you can engineer the shit out of most things. Mostly stock, Duet 3 board, water-cooled spindle, recording a serial video now. SN hashtag. No idea what that is. Oh, serial number. Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. Who was it that came up? Never said anything on the Discord before, still hasn't said anything on the Discord, but just popped up with a full-on build and got serial number 11? Well, either 10 or 11. It looked like a wicked build, though. It was all two-tone. Ah, it was cool. And I'm glad it's happening. It means that the project's rolling forward. Have you noticed that serials have been coming in slightly faster each time now? Like the first 5 took a long time to get there. The next 5, less time. And now, once we're at like 10 or 11, they're just rolling in. Good to see. Good to see. Right. Cold pizza slice, that was it. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Would you like to see me do a V0.2 upgrade? So I take this apart, yet another machine apart, and I rebuild it from the ground up. Yeah, Phil, I also get shell shocked when I can't shut up about every freaking nut and bolt, and then suddenly Milo's appear by immaculate conception. It's nice to, like, from my end, it's really nice to see it happening. Oh, you weren't here for the beginning, were you, Tim? So this is my V0.1. It has a few weird upgrades. So it has the V02 skirt and the V0, my own version of the top hat. Where is it? So this is a one-piece print. So if you have a Trident or something like that, it'll definitely fit on your machine because you have something like a 500 by 500 machine. This is a single print-and-place piece, so you don't have to buy the extrusions for the top. Just print it out of ABS. Not a 00, it's a 01. I might break it down and rebuild it as a 02, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Whether or not you guys want to watch it, that's the question. Gives me something to work on between Milos, I guess. So many reasons to stream. Oh yeah, you have a keyboard, sorry. Guessing you watch Mirage C then. And I could only wish to be so well known and to have such good content that companies just come up to you and be like, yeah, we'll make that thing for you. You asked for it, we'll do it. I mean, I guess I have that on the the actual dev side of Milo. I mean, I am being sent a bunch of stuff from DFH and from LDO soon. And then Tin's working on his like third version of the enclosure. See, I've always seen the Hevort in videos and things like that, but I've never seen anyone else recreate it because it's such a long development. Like it uses floating ball screws now, something like that. Was that? This isn't first layer. This is all support material. We haven't even got to the print yet. Yeah. Do you have the wobble wings installed on your printer? Love the color of your machines. Thank you. I do want to get a lot more color in the actual studio itself. I call it a studio. Office. In the office. Nice and tiny printer. Yes, it is. You don't want to look at what's behind it though, because the wiring is a mess, an absolute mess. You know what? I'm bored. Let's rip a printer apart. Messy wires. Yeah, it is the bane of my existence. Ugh. What upgrades for the Zero? I haven't got a single upgrade for it on it now. What do you mean? What am I going to do? I'm just going to be converting it from V01 to V02. I'm going to completely rebuild the frame because no father no, because I built it wrong first and foremost. Like one of the extrusions down here isn't actually tightened down all the way because I didn't have one of the pass-through holes on the upright, so I got the extrusion mixed up. So I'll do that, and who knows? I might put a clicky on it. I do want to put the clicky on something because I have it, and I just haven't used it yet. Ooh, benchy. Put the benchy there. The benchy can look over me as I work. No such thing as too many benchies. My trident is called Curie. My motorcycle is called Mavis. And my first ever printer, which was a CR10S, which I still have, but I converted it to a Prusa Bear style gantry. Was called Rocinante, or Rossi for short. That was from a series I was watching at the time, The Expanse. If you've ever watched The Expanse. Green lagging. Yeah, there's nothing on my end that was wrong. Must be on YouTube then. Hey, Scale, you're still here. Good to see you still around, dude. You and me need to have a chat at some stage. Wonder what the hell is going on with all the stuff you've been posting to do with the manual. I have seen it. Don't worry. I'm not just ignoring you on it. Or maybe I am. Who knows? Not much. Started a new print in ABS instead because PLA doesn't like sticking to my bed. So it's going to be a red dragon skull. And we slightly lowered it just so you can see more of it on stream. Other than that, not much. Talked about life, love, the meaning of life. It's always 42. And it's back. We never went anywhere. It was always here. Putting a stealth burner on this one. There is a mini stealth burner, isn't there? I think they do. I think the new one does have a mini stealth burner on. Can't remember. Ugh. I mean, if I could put a full-size stealth burner on it. Yeah, I'll definitely hold you up to that one. Like I said, we're not just ignoring you. It's just that we've restarted efforts on some parts of the manual. So, not sure how much of the stuff that you've done will be affected by that. So I just basically want to run down, like, Veritas has tried to explain what Markdown is to me in the past, and it's just gone in one ear and out the other. So I'm keen to understand what it is. I'm just not sure if I have the capacity to understand what it is. Don't you just love strip screws? Tip of the day. Sometimes cheap Chinese Allen keys are worth having because they come, a lot of the time they come oversized from the factory, slightly oversized from the factory, and it means that if you stripped a nut, sorry, a bolt, a screw or whatever, with a Weira sized Allen key, sometimes the Chinese ones will fit in that strip. There we go, just like that. Bye, Phil. Enjoy your. Whilst I'm doing this, you guys enjoy Dragon. It's still printing supports. It still hasn't actually printed any of the Dragon yet. Fair enough. Yeah. Again, I just don't understand markdown sheets. If you want, you can try run me down now. Run it all down for me now. See if it makes sense. To me, it just seems easy enough to edit a document, like a Google Doc or something. But again, I have no idea about things like this. I am more of a mechanical dude and not a software guy. Code scares me, as I've said on multiple occasions. Tell you what, actually, do my Weira screwdrivers a good tip? Might just have the right tip. These screws. Oh, look at that. Way better. Oh, like butter. Don't you love it when you have nice tools that actually work? Okay, you're gonna have to give me an example of what ugly syntax means. And why would it be a good thing for manuals if they're going to download the manual anyway? Hey, Milo. How you doing? Glad to see you, dude. How's your day been? What have you been up to? You been for a ride lately? Because I've just been up Heartside Summit in the lakes today, and it was a fun ride going up, sleet going down, sleet and fog. So that was enjoyable. Okay. Fair enough. But again, isn't that just in README files? How would that affect the manual? Or are you wanting it to be displayed on? You meaning we should display the manual on the GitHub itself? Or something like that? I've put piston rings and pistons into the barrel of my bike engine, hiding as much as I can from the rain. Oh, shame, dude. It's really easy to render to web pages and PDFs or even slide decks. Right. I must sound like a real amateur here. No idea what a slide deck is. It's easier to version control Markdown than Google Docs. Okay. I mean, that kind of makes sense. Slide decks equal PowerPoint. Ah, now you make more sense to me, sir. Remember, my brain not powerful. My brain like bashing sticks together. Okay. I proposed the manual as marked down because I saw the following bottlenecks. I'm assuming the bottlenecks will be following. It's hard to access of Reddit, Discord. Yeah, that makes sense. The whole idea was the manual's in beta at the moment. I really need to get working on it and actually finish it off, because it's not even that far from being finished. And once that's done, I was just going to upload it as a PDF file to the GitHub. And that way it's much easier to get to for everyone. But it's just a case of needing to get my own arse in gear. It was not trivial to contribute. What do you mean by contribute? Yep, that's true. The thing is, at the same time, the manual doesn't have to be perfect. So take the Voron manuals, for example. The Voron manuals, if I'm completely honest, aren't actually, they're good, but there are some bits that are just not great. That's fine, because most users in this kind of field will understand that and will find a better way of doing it themselves. Now, I don't like that as a long-term thing, because it's just lazy on our side. But trying to make the most perfect manual ever is also just an exercise in futility. I get what you mean by doing the work as a community, but at the same time, the manual is something that needs to be done by us. It needs to be done by the team. We can't just let the community build it. And that's a responsibility thing. Right? If we give out a manual that I haven't checked out and someone hurts themselves because of it, ultimately that's my fault. Right? It's not the person who committed that change that caused someone to get hurt. It's my fault. I am the one who stopped, because I allowed it to happen at a management level. So I'm more comfortable with people suggesting things, me having a look at them and stick them in the manual, maybe. But from a development side of things, all of those decisions about what goes into the manual, what doesn't, has to be made by the design team. It's also a case of just too many cooks in the kitchen. If you have too many people contributing to one thing, too many voices, you're gonna miss some stuff, and you're gonna tread on toes, and that's gonna happen. and it's just gonna. It doesn't work, from my standpoint at least. But again, I could just be proven wrong here. Get proven wrong on a daily basis. I also think it's going to be another 20 or so minutes, folks, and then I'm going to call it a night because I've got work tomorrow. That makes perfect sense, but also that's what merge request workflows are for. So, I'll tell you a story. So, Pin is now the, other than me, obviously, Pin has produced the most amount of Millennium Machines content in terms of actual stuff that can be made. With whole enclosure, stuff like that. Now, Tin and I don't understand this kind of thing. We've never worked in a development thing. We're complete amateurs. We're complete hobbyists. And trying to onboard someone like that, which I think are the people that we're going to be getting on this project. We're going to be getting absolute hobbyists. Onboarding them into a system that inherently doesn't make sense to them is going to be a real detriment to the project. It's like the Voron guys. So technically, we're more advanced than the Voron guys because most of the Voron guys still have a free Fusion 360 account. Right? They don't have a shared workspace like we do. We managed to get ours. And the only reason I know this is because I talked to Nero about it. And because they're all hobbyists, finding a common solution, an organized solution, one that would be in a normal industry, doesn't make sense for them. And I'm personally on the same boat with that. But adverse to that, I also think if there's a tool that's simple enough for everyone to use, I'm happy to use it. Or if there's someone who can act as a translation layer, so say the people who don't know anything about these systems goes to that person and they organize it, that's great. But you can't rely on that all the time. Like, I think some people don't really understand at the end of the day how hobbyist this is. Like, we don't have anything written down as rules. So, like, I have rules in my head for things about Milo. Like, I don't want any parts on Milo that have to be pre-machined for it to work. I want Milo to be either extrusions, standard parts, or 3D printed parts. Nothing else really. But I don't have that written down. I have that in my noggin somewhere. And that might sound disorganized from the outside, but we managed to make it work. There's a big gap, in my opinion, in the open hardware community. It's hard for designers to properly and easily version review, collaborate on projects. Yep, I agree. But you also need to understand that the open source community are hobbyists at the end of the day. Like, personally, if I had to turn Milo into a job, I'd quit. This is my hobby. I don't want it to be my job. I don't want to have to worry about deadlines and things like that. Milo wouldn't be a thing. Like, genuinely, if someone offered to come and buy Milo, buy the whole project, and told me that the clause is that they would buy it only if I stayed and worked on it, I'd say no. I'd give it to them for free. I don't want Milo to ever become my job. I did it one stage, and I realized I hated it so much that I open sourced everything instead. And that's the difference between an actual development team and us. We do everything here because we want to, and because we love it, and not because we have to. I think also eventually the team will actually get big enough that we won't need to have other people helping. We'll be able to push manuals out much faster than we can now, because we'll have more people working on it. And like, for example, Milo v1.5, I was the only one who worked on that. I'm still technically the only one who's worked on it properly, other than like some small contributions from people like Ray and that lot. So asking someone to make a manual for it on a machine that they never designed themselves is gonna be a task. It's gonna be hard for them. Like Tin was saying earlier. Whereas for v1.6 or for v2, we've already started chatting about it. It's not going to be for a while, but we know that I'll have Dave to help. I'll have Tin to help. I'll have mid to health. And if all of them chip in, they all understand how the machine works inherently, we can take shifts making that manual if we needed to. He could write a bit, I could write a bit. Like right now, Kin is writing the manual for the frame of the enclosure, but because I worked on it with him, I'm writing up a bunch of documentation for other parts of the enclosure, so all the electronics bits. I'm doing that because I can, because I worked on it with him. He did the majority of the work. I'm not going to say that I did, because that would just be a lie. But I did help in parts, and I can help even more in those parts. Sorry if I'm rambling at this point, but it is what it is. But I still do want to talk to you about it. Ooh. Dragon still is doing pretty good. So, to me, open source doesn't mean a core team can't be the ones who work on the official versions. It just means that we don't try and stop other people from doing things. To me, that's what open source means. Means all the files, all the ways to make things are open to the public. You can do whatever you want with them. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be part of the official team. It shouldn't mean that. Just because you can make something that improves a machine for something that you want to do, that you want to use it for, doesn't mean that everyone should have that up. I love the Milo project, been at it with some stuff for it myself. The FMJ was a fun thing. Yeah, nice. You got some parts right, but your vision doesn't translate 100% to what you can, for example, see in the open source software industry. again, you're you're comparing apples and oranges here. And at the same time, I mean, not everyone can make a Linux kernel. Everyone can compile their own Linux, but just because you can doesn't mean you're the one who's, or you can modify a Linux kernel, doesn't mean you're the one who's going to be on the team that creates the distro that you're using for Linux. So I'd still say there is a lot of similarity there on that front. And personally, like, I personally would be fine with downloading Manjaro, for example, from the official Manjaro guys, because I know that they're a trustworthy bunch. I know that they've released multiple versions of that OS in the past. I know they're backed officially by it. They have a team that works on it. Whereas if some random person told me that they made a Linux distro, don't quite think I would just install that on my computer and instantly trust it. Same with Cura, like 3D printing softwares, or Marlin even. Yeah, there are parts of Marlin that are, so all of Marlin is open source, and yeah, there are versions of Marlin that people can write for themselves to do custom things. But the majority of people, they're still using the firmware that was written by the team and maybe changing a few things themselves. Or they do have to change a load of things themselves if they want to actually use it. But you get what I mean. What hot end is in your stealth burner? On the Trident, it is a Rapido high flow. Hence the reason why I struggle a lot with printing PLA, because the melt zone's too long and it heat creeps like crazy in a chamber, in an enclosed chamber. Really need to find a way to automate that. I think the real takeaway from it is just like open source has no one real definition. It depends a lot on the industry that you're talking about, and a lot on some personal definition. Obviously, if you say that your personal definition of open source is a carrot, well then you're talking a bit of bullshit there. But so you have to do it within reason. I actually enjoyed talking about that. That was a nice, chilled conversation. No shouty bits. It's always nice when you can actually communicate with people instead of having to shout. Always nice. It's always nice to see how other people handle it. Oh, nice. What kind of projects do you run? Well, worked on, I mean. Nice. See, that's the thing, isn't it? So if you're working on automotive grade stuff, then surely you can't trust Joe, who works on his car every weekend, but has this cool feature in his Linux box or Linux Auto or whatever. You can't just trust him. You have to be part of some kind of team, like you were on, that vets everything that gets said and adds to an official roster somewhere or official project. And then other people can use your work and you can use their work. But at the end of the day, someone needs to decide what's happening with what, how much, how long. It can't just be a community that does it all. Because if there's one thing I know from working in this community, it's not a bad thing at all, so don't get me wrong with it, is feature creep is a big thing. It's a big issue. The amount of times I've had to go to members of the team and go and say, and just remind them that feature creep is a thing. Is astounding. And I'm not saying that I don't fall for it either. I very much do. I'm the main culprit of it most of the time. But if you just let a million people have their voice not just heard, like everyone deserves to have their voice heard, but if you let everyone decide what they're going to put in the project doesn't get done. Yeah, that's what I mean by it. At the end of the day, you don't have to follow the manual. You can do it your own way. You can publish your own manual if you want. You can do this, you can do that, you can do whatever you want with the project. We won't stop you from doing that. But because you're not on the team, because we can't check it, because we're the ones responsible at the end of the day, I don't see it as being a requirement for open sourciness to endorse everyone who makes anything. Having a single governing body that decide what goes in a standard build of X, Y, and Z with their goals for the machine is a good thing, because it stops the project from running away on itself. Roadmaps, things falling outside the roadmap are often ignored. Again, on a hobby level, we don't have roadmaps. We have things that we would like to get to see done on the team, but we also have our own priorities in our own life. Dave's got a house to build. I've got a fairly low to mid-range job. It means I can't always afford to build this, buy that, upgrade this. And that means the project slows down sometimes. And I think that's a very good thing, in a way. I think it's a very endearing thing. Should I put it instead? I think one of the reasons at least, that Voron still has more traction than Rat Rig, even though I think from what I've seen, the Rat Rigs are technically better machines, I think it gets more support because it's more relatable. People like to see the guy in his garage inventing things that change the world rather than a company doing it. There's charm in it. There is. There just is charm. And I think you lose that sometimes. When you start automating systems and getting things together, things like that. And if that's the way the project's going to go, if that's what people inside the project want to do, then that's fine. And I want people to take charge of the project where they can. And if that's ultimately where it's going to go, then I have no problem with that. But it's the same thing with if this became a job. If it becomes a hobby where I'm having to spend all my time on deadlines and things like that, then I don't want to be part of it. Nowadays, big open source software is just a way for large companies to split the cost of developing software. Yeah. And that makes sense. And at the end of the day, if it benefits the end user, I'm fine with that. going back to what I said before, I think with the whole like backyard thing in Boron, I think a big reason that people trust Boron, like Boron, is because, in a way, they're an underdog. For a very long time, they were the only real speed printers, other than the rat rigs and things like that. Are you off X scale? I hope I didn't annoy you at all. I wasn't trying to. I wasn't trying to aggravate you. I will do, man. Will do. Fair enough, dude. I might be closing up here soon as well. I think take these last few linear rails off, and then I'm gonna head to bed. Yeah, that's really. I guess Saunders has never said that that they're a kind of open file company, but it would be really nice to have something that's at least comparable to what they send you, so that you can use it for CAD modeling. Oh, sweet. Well, we'll have a chat about it. And we'll see what we can come up with. So my first ever motorcycle in the UK was a Duke 125, KTM Duke 125. And the day I got it, I did 200 miles on it. I just up and down the Lake District. I was so enthused by it that I decided to go for a camping trip to Scotland, and it was the day before the lockdowns were meant to come into effect. So I set off, and I thought, okay, they'll get me in Scotland and they'll turn me around, but at least I might be able to get a day there or something. And I was only allowed to go on B roads at the time, so kind of back roads, no motorways, no highways, Americans would call them. So going through these back alley parts of Scotland, got turned around by the police. They were really nice, really courteous. They said, "Yeah, we get what you're doing, but you can't do it." Turned me around. And it was after like 9 hours of riding. And I started riding back. And somewhere in the Scottish Highlands, I just canned it. Luckily, the side bags I had on at the time stopped most of the frame from getting damaged. So it was still rideable and I could ride it back. And there was only just a few scratches on the tank, and that was it. But I came off at a good 50 miles an hour, and it was a miracle that I didn't get hurt. So yeah, I had that bike for 2 days before I crashed it. It's all right. I learned since, and I did crash that bike again, but that was for a completely different reason. That wasn't my fault. I walked away. I had a few bruises, and that was it. It was all good. I survived. At the end of the day, that's all you need, isn't it? You survive so you can keep doing other awesome stuff. Like making little Milos, things like that. Yeah, you're right. If you do walk away from a bike, you're you've managed well. What profile did I start with on the Trident? Something from Ellis. No, I started with the baked-in version for the Voron 2 in Cura. Changed a bunch of accelerations to match my input shaping results. So I think I run 8K axle in both directions. And that's it. Oh, and I turned combing off because before I turned combing off, I was having some really weird, extrusion issues. I don't know why. Don't know why combing affected that. Turn combing off and I turn coasting on. right? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the disassembly here. We'll work on that another time. Gonna leave you guys to watch the sprint for a few minutes, for about half an hour or so, if you want to check in. But I'm gonna go head off, have some dinner at like near midnight, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Do enjoy. We'll see you on the Discord sometimes, especially with Xscale mocking my photos of me. But yeah, night guys.